I'm joined here by Tommy Guilfoyle, and it's the day after, I suppose, the day before again, the replay of the Galway Clare game. Tommy, thanks for joining me here, first of all. And will you just give me your view on that game yesterday?
Yeah, I suppose, Nicholas, I suppose the last time I talked to you, I suppose there was elation and we were all excited about the performance in Croke Park that day. And I suppose after yesterday, even though I suppose we would be happy with the commitment and effort, I suppose ultimately, we fell short by a point. And I suppose when you lose by a point, you could point to a lot of factors. I suppose the wides, the missed goal chances, I suppose the 9-point start we gave them. So, from I suppose us as supporters, disappointment, but I suppose nothing like what the players are feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. But the supporters, as you mentioned, they travelled in huge numbers yesterday. I never saw such a crowd in Tullus from Clare in great voice, and maybe expecting a bit more, I thought,
Yeah, and again, I suppose, we were still taking on the All-Ireland champions, and, I think the Clare supporters, some of them probably couldn't get to Dublin the week before. The fact was on at 5 o'clock anyway, that was working. But in fairness, yesterday, at one stage I was wondering, was there any Galway supporters going to turn up? But I suppose there was hold-ups and they came in late. But, I think probably one of the pluses for this year would have been there was a reconnection between, the Clare hurling supporters and the Clare team. But, I suppose after 8 championship matches, these players and management have given us great days, great matches, great victories. But I suppose ultimately when you come to the semi-final of an All-Ireland final, that prize to get to the final just has eluded them for this year. It's a long time before they get back going again, and I suppose the players have invested a lot of time and effort, and as has the management. I suppose for most of the supporters to say that they played well or we're proud of them is probably only a small consolation to the players.
Yeah, I suppose when the final whistle, and it's rare you see it, an awful lot of Clare people went out there to just say thanks to the players. They were so proud of them, that they had given their last ounce there yesterday again, like and after Croke Park, and to go out again yesterday. We went down the 9 points again and had to dig our way back. Did we learn anything from the drawing game?
I suppose, I kind of said it in the preview to the match that the team that learns more usually, wins those replays. And I think, Galway, I would have been surprised the way Galway didn't react to the way Clare used the sweeper and the actual style of play that Clare played. But in fairness, they had their homework done. Even though they were missing Garrod McInerney, they realised and acknowledged that they needed a big man to bring back on Peter Duggan, and Joseph Cooney came back there and slotted in effortlessly yesterday. Very influential, even though Peter Duggan was one of Clare's top players there yesterday. But I suppose when we go to the 9-point start, that kind of disappointed me in the sense that we should have been ready for it. And again, on the flip side of that, you could say there was great credit due to the Clare players to come back into it. But I suppose, when you lose by a point, we have 19 wides, I suppose question marks would be asked about, decision making or a small bit of panic. But I think the overriding thing for me in the first half was that the fact that, we continued to pump the ball into John Conlon whenever we could, which wasn't as often as been previous week. But, to be surrounded by 2-3 Galway players, he hadn't a chance. So, again, we probably needed to play someone a lot nearer to John Conlon to feed off him or get those breaks, and instead Galway picked him up. And this time, in fairness, Pádraig Mannion and the Galway half-back line, Aidan Hart, they used the ball intelligently. And I think, that was the difference from last week to this week, that they didn't just hit the ball aimlessly. They actually played very constructively.
Yeah. I suppose what was disappointing was that they continued with that strategy, getting the ball out to Jack Brown, booming it down the field. They did it for the whole first half. I mean, that's too long to be playing a tactic that wasn't working. Why they didn't change that is a...
Yeah, and again, I suppose, Galway were probably prepared to give the cornerbacks the ball because, then they had the extra players back. And again, cornerbacks sometimes aren't comfortable on the ball, and their natural instinct is to drive it long. And I suppose Clare recognised that, bar Peter Duggan, that we didn't have a go-to player on our own puck outs, and they felt they needed to work the ball out through it. But I think, as you said, it kind of backfired in the sense that the end result was that Galway picked up those long aimless balls, in through the Galway defence, and ultimately hurt us on the return because, as I said, they've used the ball very well, worked it out through the defence. I think David Burke played very well at midfield as well, got on a lot of ball. He's the captain, he's their leader. He's their leader there. He's brilliant hurler and got some great scores. I think Clare struggled around the midfield to get on the ball, and I suppose hindsight is great. You'd say Colm Galvin going back, but was it a case of robbing Peter to pay Paul, or could we have utilised him better? Look at, I suppose, the day after a game, there's lots of if, buts and ends. But when you lose a game and you could forensically go through it and come up with lots of ideas as to how it should be, and I suppose who'd be in management.
Who'd be in management is right, but I suppose given the fact that Aaron Shannon had played such a big part in the drawn game, you would imagine you would have seen him, if not starting, certainly coming on much earlier than he did.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about it in our analysing the game at half time. I was talking to Brendan Cummins, and the fact that Clare were going long, I think it was tailor-made for someone like him. John Conlon needed assistance, and I think the fact that Shanahan was there, I expected to see him on at half time or at least shortly after, to say that he didn't come on until 7 minutes to go. You would ask questions, but maybe the management felt he wasn't up to it. We're not privy to that information, but what an impact he made. And I suppose ironically he'll be probably remembered for the goal chance he didn't put away rather than the contribution he made. And I think for a young man like that to recover from a serious injury, to get himself in a position to come back and step back into an All-Ireland semi-final on both days, is a great credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and we certainly don't hold the goal chance, because it was just when it came back off the post, it just wasn't able to.
Could have gone anywhere. It could have hit him in the chest, and it could have gone in. It just, I think a lot of commentators have spoken about the goal post against Tipperary, and it came back to kind of haunt us again yesterday.
Exactly, I suppose. It was an unbelievable effort. They had 100 minutes up in Croke Park, and to come back and be down the 9 points and bring it back again to level was yesterday was an incredible feat, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone can. I suppose the one thing that I would have always hoped for was that this Clare team would perform near enough to what we think they're capable of. And I suppose there was a couple of years there when we just didn't do that for one reason or the other. I think this year, they set out their stall early. They won that tournament in America, I think, which was very beneficial to them. Had a good start to the league. It tapered off slightly. We had that epic history-making shootout in Limerick in the league, and again they would have taken a lot from that. As turned out, that Limerick team, the majority of that team that played that night are in the All Ireland final in a couple of weeks' time. So, we're not that far away. I do think we probably need a bit more consistency from some of our top players. I suppose there's question marks, unfairly so, I think, have been. And things have been said about the likes of Tony Kelly and Shane O'Donnell and these guys. They're big name players, and teams set out to nullify them, I think. But I think if Clare are to be successful, we need all our players playing to the best of their ability on a consistent basis. Obviously the management will look at it now and review the panel. I suppose the positive as well, that the subs that came on yesterday are of a young age, where it was a learning experience to them, and that experience will strengthen them going forward. Mikey O'Malley came on, Rory Hayes came on, Ian Galvin came on, all made big sizable contributions. So that augurs well for the future. But I suppose for 2018, it'll be a lot of soul searching and a lot of disappointment to the players. It's going to be they're finding it hard to pick themselves up to come back and play for the club championship, but pick themselves up, they will. The character that's in those players. Yeah,
we lost the Munster final, we lost an All-Ireland semi-final replay. To me, that is hard, to take. But on the plus side, to see a huge crowd down at Tullis, they got us back hurling. No, you and me will always be hurling, but they got to support us back, and that's a major plus for this year, I think. To get the followers back on side again.
Yeah, and again, I just John Conlon was had alluded to that there, where that they felt as players, that they had to give the supporters something to come back and support them for, and he was very honest and very open with that. And I think we played 8 games. It's kind of unprecedented in a championship year to say we played 8 games and ended up with nothing. We were just talking here today. Would it have been a consolation, losing yesterday? Had we won the Munster final, I think it would have been, but it wasn't to be. I suppose 2018 will be remembered as a year where Clare came back. We made the top 4 and played in some of the best games that we've seen in a championship that has really, the format has really brought hurling to the forefront this year, where we thought on any given day 6, 7, 8 teams can win the All-Ireland, and that augurs well for hurling. But we're going to have to work twice as hard next year to get back there again. 8 games, is a long time invested in it, and nothing to show. But who would have said that Waterford and Tip wouldn't have made the knockout stages, and we would. I suppose we can get a bit greedy as supporters, and if success means silverware, we'll be disappointed. But I think if we look at the overall development of this team from January to Sunday, I think we've made great strides.
Yeah, we've had great days this year, there's no doubt about that, and great strides, as you said, and what has been a terrific championship up to now. There's one more game left, Tommy. I'm not going to put your head in the block, but who's going to win it?
I think if Limerick can sort out their full-back situation, I won't say a problem, because there's different horses for different courses, but I think that Limerick needs someone physically that's going to be able to match Jonathan Glynn, because I think if you look at the day Clare played Limerick, John Conlon had the upper hand on Mike Casey, so that Limerick, the Limerick management will know what they need to do. I think if Limerick keep their heads down, play the game rather than the occasion, they're in with a great chance. I think Galway could be slightly vulnerable. I don't think they're the same team as they were last year. Not that they're complacent or anything, but that hunger and desire that was there for 25 years. I'm just wondering, is it there this year? Now, it's never easy to do back-to-back, as has been proven, but I think Limerick, won't be afraid of Galway. And I think if Limerick perform, control the hype, play the game rather than the occasion, I think they're in with a great chance.
Yeah, and this was 1973 is such a long time. We definitely wouldn't begrudge our neighbours, I'd say.
No. As I said, I work with a lot of them below in Shannon, and I suppose, ironically, they were secretly hoping that Galway would win yesterday, because I think we kind of slightly spook them from time to time when we play them. So I think that's one less problem. They're not facing Clare. I think they'll have a real go at Galway, and their bench could be the difference in the last 10 or 15 minutes, which has proved crucial all year. So it's 50-50 at best, and I think if Limerick play, they have a great chance of winning.
Tommy, thanks for your excellent analysis. You always have your finger on the pulse, Tommy.
Thanks, Douglas.
Thanks for talking to us. Thanks.